Welcome to the ROC House Property Show, your number one choice for tips, advice and practical know-how when looking to extend your home or develop property generally. Knowledge is power. And now, your host, Chartered Building Surveyor and the founder of ROC House, Andrew Sheely.
Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you are and when you're listening. My name is Andrew Sheely, as just introduced, and I am the founder and owner of a company called ROC Haus Architecture and Chartered Surveyors. And we specialise in turning your development dreams into reality, or at least that's the goal every single time. So I'd like to welcome you to this inaugural podcast, the first ever. And this is the first episode, and I'm hoping that you're here because you are on a journey yourself. You're looking to develop your home or property, and you found us because you're looking to actually get involved in learning a bit about what's involved in that process. You want to know a bit more information up front so you can be better prepared for what lies ahead in the mysterious world of the development game or doing building work. And I hope to take you on that journey, to hold your hand and be your guide so that you're able to learn all that you need to know ahead of time, so that when you're dealing with builders or ordering a kitchen or dealing with your architect or just wondering how to go through the planning process or deal with neighbours, whether they be difficult or amazing. In any event, this podcast is here to help you along the journey there and give you all the information up front. We firmly believe knowledge is power. So ultimately, this is what we want this to be for you, your hub of information, so that you can ultimately have as smooth a ride as possible. So I suppose to kick off proceedings on this, you'd like to know a little bit about myself. What qualifies me to talk about this? Well, I'm a chartered building surveyor and have been doing this now for at least 15 years. It's been that long that I forget how many years on top of it is. 15 is a nice round number, so I kind of stick with that for the time being. It used to be a family business called Sheely and Associates back in the day. My father started it in the 80s, and I came in ripe and ready and green as the grass when I was a young man in my early 20s, and I've been practicing ever since. As I say now, for a good 15 plus years as a chartered surveyor now. We branded ROC Haus up as that company in 2000 and, gosh, let me think about it, 2015 it was. The short story is the family business decided to fold. My father retired. I had plans to start something new, and in any event, the whole thing coincided wonderfully together. So I rebranded accordingly to ROC Haus Architectural Services and Chartered Surveying, to kind of really start a new era, to start a new segment of my life, and to run the business to the direction I wanted to be. And this podcast is actually part of that process. I've always been very passionate about wanting to share the information that's rattling around in my mind to help people extend their homes or get through that process as easily as possible. And I found myself over the last few years really saying a lot of information and giving knowledge to clients on a regular basis, and saying the same kind of things but in different contexts depending on the circumstance that I found myself in, or the circumstance that the clients found themselves in. So I decided, you know what would be the best thing to do? Start a podcast. Isn't that a genius move? But I thought, if I start a podcast, then I can share this to a wider audience. It gives me the opportunity to actually structure and consider what I want to say and answer those best questions up front, those hidden secrets, and start sharing my knowledge of all those esoteric and unique situations that occur once in a blue moon, depending on the project and the time of year and so on and so forth. But rather than that being bottled up in my mind and, once in a blue moon I can pass that information on to a client, I thought, let's start a podcast. And as these things happen, I can share them with you. I can share them with you, the audience, and hopefully by me experiencing the difficulties of helping clients navigate the harsh landscape that can sometimes be construction work, that you can learn from that, and thus you'll be able to have a better outcome, a smoother journey with the project that you want to take yourself or want to undertake yourself. So as discussed, that's going to include best practices, tips and tricks and bits of advice on everything from the planning side of things through to the process of planning, through to architecture and design and space planning, party wall work, how to deal with contractors and the tender process, what makes a good tender package and how deep do you really need to go to get an accurate price, what tolerance is there for variations, and how do you deal with the right contract with a builder, how do you even run the project with the builder if you're deciding to do that yourself. These are the challenges that we're going to talk about. These are the pitfalls we're going to help you try and avoid, even down to when you close the contract at the end. How do you adequately close the contract, avoiding any disputes about what's snagging, what isn't snagging, how much money should be paid at the very end, how long is the rectification period, and all these technical things. We'll kind of dive into it, and we're going to help you understand exactly what it means and how you can apply it to your project going forward. So why this podcast? What makes this podcast different than any other that's out there talking about extending your home? Well, because of the experience I've got and the network of people I've had around me and the good work we've done, I've actually got a number of people that I'm able to interview. So it's not just going to be a Q&A. It's not just going to be me answering questions for 5 or 10 minutes each time. I've got interviews with clients who have done projects, who have gone through that harsh reality of dealing with some not so savory builders, and they've lost some money, they've had bad experiences, and rather than that being bottled up and left over there, we're going to bring it to the table for you. We're going to talk about that and dissect what they could have done differently. We've got a number of clients like that and people we've worked with along the way where I know they've got a really good story to tell, so we're going to share that with you. We're going to actually interview the other side of the coin, the building contractor. We're going to interview a number of building contractors so that we can discuss what it is that they see from their side of the table. What advice can they give clients to help clients actually expect things better in a project? What things can clients avoid doing to make the builder's job easier, or to avoid the builder's job being harder, essentially? And we're going to really dive into the market. Prices are obviously on the up and have been on the up for a long time. So we're going to talk to contractors about how they're seeing all the price rises and all that kind of landscape from their perspective. The point is, we're going to delve into the contractor's brain and help pull out a couple of gems, a couple of golden nuggets that we can pass on to you guys, the listeners, the watchers on YouTube, those who are looking to undertake their own projects, so that you guys can actually learn from that and apply it to your own project going forward. We have staff in this merry business of ROC House, architecture and chart surveys. We have architects and charter surveyors in the practice, and I'm going to pull them onto the show as well. We're going to have a good deep dive and chat about the business of doing what we do on a daily basis, and we're going to actually explore from their perspective what their experience is, and we're going to pull out some stories that they've got as well. Once again, all in the benefit of helping you good selves understand the kind of planning, construction industry, the development surveying side of things. We're going to dive into some subcontractors as well, if I can get the words out, kitchen suppliers, bathroom suppliers, energy and sustainability. We're going to be looking at all this. Asbestos removal companies, do you really need it? What about drainage surveys? Let's talk to these people. Let's find out what they say is needed and isn't needed. Where's the line drawn in the sand that helps you understand whether you really need to get these things done, and how important is it to get things like that done ahead of time before a building project starts? You know, this is all things that you need to consider. You might not even be aware you need to involve. You know, when do you need to start talking to a kitchen designer? When do you need to start talking to a bathroom supplier installer? Should you just go with the person the builder's recommended, or should you find your own? And what makes a good kitchen supplier in the first place? Do you go to Wix and some of the big boys, or do you go to a bespoke private person? The pros and cons of that. We're going to dive into that, and we're going to get it straight from the horse's mouth, of course, as well. The whole point of this is to give the best advice to you when you're doing your own project. Last but not least, we're going to also cover Q&A stuff. So this is going to be me talking to you about key questions about the planning process, about what to do when you receive a party wall notice. What kind of contract forms are there when you're looking to appoint a builder? Should you just use the builder's contract? And if you do, what clauses should you be looking at, so that you can be aware of perhaps key phrases in there that aren't in necessarily your best interests. Maybe the builder didn't even know he's put those in. He's just grabbed a contract from somewhere else. But we're going to dive into that. And we're going to recommend also some uniform forms of contract, perhaps part of the JCT suite of contracts, although they aren't the only ones, of course, but some classic documents that you can use as a contract when you're doing your own building work. The point is, it's all about helping you see the process, understand all the questions that can arise at each stage of that process, and as a result of that, you're going to be well armed to attack your own building project, feeling confident of things that are going to come, and you might even surprise yourself. You might enjoy it. So if you've got it this far in to this initial welcoming podcast, and I'd like to say thank you very much indeed. We look forward to pulling you along the journey with us, seeing how deep the rabbit hole goes, as they say, and hopefully you'll get something out of it along the way. If you haven't already done so, I'd ask if you could subscribe, click the little button down below, and so that you can be well up to date with any new episodes that get posted, and you can be privy to the knowledge as it's released, and hopefully so it can give you the best outcome possible. To finish up, I'll say again, my name is Andrew Sheely, the founder and owner of ROC House Architecture and Chartered Building Surveyors, this wonderful business over here. And I would like to finish off by saying we are here to help you turn your development dreams into reality. Thank you, and until next time, take care.
Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed the show and want to learn more about how you can complete your own extension, all whilst avoiding the common mistakes that can cost you time and money, then please hit that subscribe icon. Knowledge is power. If you have any questions about the show, or if you'd like specific questions answered, then please refer to the email address in the show notes below, and we'll be more than happy to answer them. For all things architecture and chartered surveying, www.roc-haus.co.uk. Turning your development dreams into reality.